Hello, genealogists. This is Craig, and this is Just Genealogy. And yesterday I was talking about analyzing records, and I realized that maybe I didn't cover it well enough. I didn't talk about types of records. I didn't talk about abstracts, transcriptions, those kind of things. So what I thought I'd do is I'd spend a little bit of time doing that. In other words, what sort of goes through my head when I'm analyzing records. And I'm talking about analyzing them individually, not the comparison or the correlation piece of the pie. I'm talking about when I look at a record, what am I looking at? Am I looking at an original record? Is it handwritten? Do I understand all the nuances of the writing that are in front of me? Or is it a transcription, an account which has been copied completely inaccurately from another source where I'm not actually able to look at the actual source? So theoretically, I'm going to want to do that, especially if later on I'm going to find conflict. Or is it an extract? Meaning, is it a quotation or a segment of that record? And again, I'm going to want to find the original record. And then the abstract, which is a summary of the source, which just deals with the main points. The who, what, when, where kind of thing. Who, what, why, where, when kind of thing. And deletes the boilerplate, the repetitive language. So the thing that I like to deal with is, what are the pieces of interpreting or analyzing a record? Well, the first thing I want to ask is, what's the purpose of the record? And what kind of source is it? Is it original? Is it derivative? Is it primary? Is it secondary? Those kind of things. And who are all the individuals involved? Are there individuals involved that we don't see here? What are the relationships stated? Now, if there aren't relationships stated and the people are of the same surname, I'm going to be interested in determining what the relationships are. Actually, I'm going to be interested in determining what the relationships are no matter what. Because anytime I see names together on a record, I'm going to assume some relationship. And then I have to define what that relationship actually is. Is it familial? Is it a neighbor? Is it an associate? Is it the drunk on the courthouse steps? Are there any relationships that are implied by this document? And then deal with the issues of, where did this take place? Did this take place in the county of origin, or did it take place in the county seat? Did it take place in a place apart from where the person was normally living at that point in time? Why did they travel to do it? That kind of thing. And what is the direct evidence that's given? What is the indirect evidence that's given? And what else is implied? And then what sort of information would I anticipate being in this record that's actually not stated? Or is there information that I can infer from this record that's also not stated? Now, remember when I talked about transcription and abstraction? And well, usually those are easy to apply these kinds of things to, because it's typewritten, usually. But what happens if it's an original record? Now, my recommendation is that if you're using it for your research, you transcribe the record. If you're using it for a compilation, then you have to decide whether you want to have a transcription or whether you want to have an abstract. So those are basically the pieces. Remember that published works are to be used as finding aids to original records. So I'm not a firm believer that transcripts are appropriate to publications, because there's a lot of boilerplate, so there's therefore a lot of wasted space. But you have to understand the nuances of the boilerplate also as you are, in fact, abstracting the record. So let's go over this again. If you've got an original record, you want to transcribe it. My experience is that if I abstract it or I extract something off an original record, I forget something, I lose something, I miss something. But if I transcribe it, then that isn't probably going to happen. And then when I transcribe it, if there are words I don't understand, I have to take the time to figure those words out. So those are the pieces. Take an original record, transcribe it so that you understand what the record is all about and what evidence exists on that record. So again, what is the purpose of the record? What kind of source is it? Is it a original, derivative? What kind of information? Is it primary? Is it secondary? And what kind of evidence am I going to get from it? In other words, apply the process map. But there's more to it than that, in that you want to identify who all the individuals are on that document. You want to understand the relationship of those individuals to each other. And you also want to ensure that you're aware of where the event took place, and did it take place in the home area or did it take place in an area removed from the home? And then what can you imply or infer from this document? In other words, what's the indirect evidence? Do you know of other documents already in your research that support this, or is there a conflict? Definitely want to know the purpose of the document. That's the first step as far as I'm concerned. Recognize that after you've done all that, you now have a sense of what you found. And then you also theoretically should have a sense of what else you need to find. And this record may lead you to where to find that other evidence, or it may not. You also need to look at the life cycle of a record series, meaning bands, bond, license, return kind of thing, as in a marriage. The other piece that you want to be sure that you take into account, although normally you won't have to do this all the time, but you have to be aware of it before you start, is how have the boundaries changed in this place that this record is from? Is this an initial record from a new jurisdiction, or is it a very old jurisdiction and you don't have to worry about boundary changes? You just want to keep that in mind. So this has been Craig. This has been Just Genealogy, and we've dealt with the issues of transcription, the word for word, and extract pieces. Abstract pieces minus the boilerplate, and extract just the pieces. And we dealt about how to interpret or analyze a record, and then where it might lead from there. So have a great day. This was Labor Day for me, so I'm laboring. That's what I do on Labor Days. Y'all have a great time. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. Please like this if it was helpful. And hit that button, that bell, so you get notified when it's noontime again in your world. Have a great day.